welcome to my garden, my yard. Today we're going to talk about 1 Peter 3 verse 7. It says, "Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner, and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers." We're going to look at the first marriage in the Bible, the way God intended marriage. So we're going to look at Adam and Eve, and they were there to support each other and to support and care for the plants and the animals. All the trees that gave fruit were in their care. All the animals, the fish, the bird, they were to care for them, to subdue them, to look after them. Some things with plants. We have an apple tree here. You would want to prune the tree so that it gives fruit. You want it to be strong. You want an open center so it's resistant to disease. You want it to give lots of fruit on strong branches. When we prune, we want to use very sharp tools. A gardener uses their tools. They're sharp. We're not just going in with a machete or anything we want and hacking at it. We really want to be skillful at it. We have to know where to cut, how to do it, and at what time. We have the Bible. That's our sharp tool that we can use to be pruning each other, to be encouraging each other, and pushing each other forward in the Lord. Over here we have a baby tree. This tree I planted it this year, so it's only a couple years old, 1 year in this garden. Because it's so small, I have to protect the trunk. I put this plastic thing around its trunk, and it keeps the animals from eating it. It needs a lot of protection. It needs to be watered regularly. It needs fertilizer a little bit at a time. Adam and Eve were to take care of the animals. So if they had defenseless animals, they would need to provide them with a cage or protection to keep the predators out. They would want to make sure they had shelter, food, and water. We have a guinea pig and a rabbit. They are pretty defenseless on their own, so they need a lot of care. Over here we have a peach tree. This tree is about 9 to 10 years old. It's taken a lot of work, a lot of care to get it to this point. It's extremely fruitful, but if you look at it, it's burdened. It has a lot of weight on it. It needs a bit of support. So Adam and Eve would have had to go looking around the garden, looking for trees that needed support, that needed care. They would have needed to be able to jump into action, to help out, to come over and support the trees. If they don't get proper support, they actually will break. Adam and Eve had a job to do. They had to tend to the garden. And as we all know, when that didn't happen, things went very bad. When we don't tend to our gardens, our families, our churches, our fellow Christians, when we're not caring for each other, things go bad, and it can happen quickly. Here we have a grapevine, Concord grapevine. A few weeks of neglect and the pricker bushes have just sprouted up. You can see they're about 6 feet tall now. They will shred your skin. So this was a fruitful garden. Just a little bit of neglect, it has really gone downhill. I have stinging nettles in here. These are very, very painful. So we don't want our lives to look like this. We don't want people to look at our families and think, wow, they're all just fighting all the time. They're tearing each other down. We want them to look at our families and think, wow, they're fruitful, they're helping each other, they're building each other up. So we've looked at gardening and how Adam and Eve should be taking care of the garden and the little animals. And that's the same way we should be caring for each other, for our husbands and wives, for our children. We should be nurturing, protecting, bringing each other up in a safe environment, helping each other to grow strong and be fruitful. So as a gardener cares for the garden, that's how the husband cares for the wife and the family, how we care for each other. And we also have a great example of how Jesus cares for the church, his bride. There are so many analogies in the Bible of gardening and plants and how families should be together. So you guys check that out. Have a great discussion. Just talk about how we should all be helping each other.